Over the past 2 weeks, we have been talking about adding polynomials, subtracting polynomials, and then we multiplied both monomials and polynomials. So now we move into division. And so with division, it is very easy, but this time instead of having an addition, subtraction, or multiplication sign, we have this division, which looks like a fraction bar, which really just means we are dividing. So step one, what we need to do is called simplify the coefficient. So we simplify the coefficient. So if you remember, the coefficient is the big number in front of the x. So if we were to simplify, if you struggle with reducing fractions, in your calculator, you can press Control Divide and then type in 5/10. Or you can do it in your head. 5/10 will reduce to 1/2. So now in this one here, I'm going to write this out so it makes a little more sense. What's happening here is that there are 5 x's on the top and there are 3 x's on the bottom. So what happens is these x's are going to cancel. So top cancels bottom, top cancels bottom, top cancels bottom. And that leaves me with 2 x's on the top. So it's x to the second. So we expanded our x's to see how many are left and where they are left. Okay, in example 2, same thing. We simplify our coefficient. That means divide. 16 divided by 4 is the number 4. So now I'm going to look at this here. There are 4 x's on the top. There are 5 y's on the top. Over, there's 9 x's on the bottom. Okay, so there's 9 x's on the bottom. So what happens, everything on the top will cancel with the same letter that's below. Okay, there are no y's to cancel, so that left us with 5 y's on the top, so y to the 5th. But my x's are left on the bottom. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. So it's x to the 5th on the bottom. So we can expand it and see how many x's will cancel. Or let's make a rule for this. So if it was 5 and the bottom was 3, we got 2. So the rule 5 minus 3 would have made a 2. So this time, instead of expanding it, we're going to write that step 2 says, when exponents are stacked one over the other, you subtract. When exponents are stacked, you subtract. So let's try the examples below, but we're going to do it in that way. Okay. So now it says the rules: simplify the coefficient. When exponents are stacked, you subtract. So if we look at example 3, simplify the coefficient. 12 divided by 6 is the number 2. When x's are stacked, there's 9 here and there's 1 here. So that means we would subtract 9 minus 1 is the number 8. Very easy. So we're going to do that again, but in example 4, we need to clean up the top first, and then we can do that method there. So to clean the top, what you learned last week is that these are multiplying. This here, when there's parentheses right next to each other, that means that we multiply. So we multiply our coefficient, our big number, 5 times -2 is -10. Then we count our x's. There are 11 x's that live on the top. there are 16 y's that live on the top. The bottom looks like this. Okay, so now it's a single monomial where we can use our rules. Coefficient, you can use control, divide, if you need to. Control, divide, it's kind of ugly. Okay, so control, divide, negative 10 over 20 is the number negative 1 over 2. When exponents are stacked, you subtract 11 minus 4 is 7. We put it where there were more x's. There's more x's on the top, so we put that x to the 7th on the top. These y's are stacked, so we subtract 16 minus 5 is the number 11. There were more exponents on the top, so the y to the 11th goes to the top. Very easy. So go ahead and take a minute and try your practice problems. So you're doing numbers 1 through 6. Not hard. I'm going to write down your rules really quickly. So step 1, simplify the big number. That's called the coefficient. Simplify means reduce the fraction or use control, divide in your calculator. Control, divide. Step 2, when exponents are stacked, one over the other, you would subtract. Okay, so go ahead and try numbers 1 through 6. Don't let 4 and 6 scare you. You can use your calculator if you need to. Those x's are stacked. So you can subtract 3/4 minus 1/4. Use your calculator. You'll be good at that. Okay, so this is called the quotient rule. Quotient means dividing. So that's when you divide or simplify your big numbers. And then you subtract your exponents if they are stacked, one on top of the other. Very easy. Go ahead and work 1 through 6.